You want to sit here and say, oh, the internet said X. I'm sure the internet did. I'm talking about my personal experiences, and some people agree with me and some people do not. That is perfectly fine. Don't give a fuck if people agree with me or otherwise. People are listening to me and they're either agreeing with me or
but
they're
you're
not
still wrong, and that's the problem.
All right, so here's our main topic. We touched on this last week. This is where it started. So last week we had a guy. His name was XQC. He was debating with the gentleman without the shirt in the lower left-hand corner, and they were basically talking about whose job it is to protect in this situation. The other guy went back and forth about what if his girl is a better shot? What if she an MMA fighter? What if? but here in America's Mind, we came to the conclusion that it should be the male. The male should be the protector in the household when somebody break the door down, shot out the window, or whatever, right? Even though they disagreed. So we had this other guy who's coming in to, this is, I guess, days later, the guy with the long hair and the beard in the lower right-hand corner. His name is Hasan Piker. Some people might know him if they're a little political, but I think most of us might be either too old or just not in the realm that he deals with. So they basically continue the conversation. We'll let that play out and see what they're talking about.
He's a new age thinker. He lives in the new think, the idea that
what is
the way the world runs and has always run is a bad thing, and that if we change everything from the ground up, it's somehow going to become a magically better place. Obviously, he has no proof or any references for his way of thinking because it's never been tested before. It's an untested theory. I think that for him to come along and say such blanket statements that if we changed all the world leaders to women, there wouldn't be war is inane and asinine. I think for him to say that a man who's physically strong can't be mentally strong is also stupid. But I also understand why he's saying the ideas he's saying, because he has a natural insecurity based on the fact that he's not a physical specimen man, and the way he gets around it is to pretend that that's not important, which is fine. Lots of people do it, right? Stupid people saying being smart's not important. Poor people saying being rich is not important. It's a common defense mechanism that everybody does, and I
like
completely
this
understand
guy.
it. However, most people with a basic grasp of economics and the way societies work would look at society and say, you know what? A society with brave, strong men who are full of honor and duty is actually a better society than men who walk around saying, I have no duty to protect anybody or protect anything, and I can just sit around and cry all
What
day."
country is that?
And this theory is being tested in real time, right? America's quickly
Yeah,
turning
would
into
you
the
ask?
latter.
What country is that? Well, he just said that men stand around and do nothing, and the world is running better.
I don't know what country that is. We haven't seen that happen. I seen it happen in the movie Wonder Woman, where they have the Amazonians, but that's the only place.
And we can see crime rates going through the roof. We can see all the fucking school shooting, all this stupid shit that's happening because men have no emotional control anymore. And that's what's going to happen. Is society's going to degrade, and the countries where men still stick to their honor and their age-old expected ways of acting, are there going to be a safer societies overall? So time will prove me right, but I have nothing against the guy. He's fine.
I think Andrew and the previous person that was on the call are just two sides of the same coin. They're both wrong, and they're both kind of right in different ways. But thinking that this has anything to do with gender is silly.
Then what are we dealing with?
It has nothing to do with gender. Women can be just as oppressive and as brutal as men can be. Ultimately, it has everything to do with capitalism, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the gender. The assumption that women are going to be like hysterical across the board, that kind of generalization, is just incorrect. And that's why, Andrew, I've seen some of your work as you're doing the rounds on Twitch here. And a lot of the things that you said that you've been called out on, specifically in regards to like women driving, as a matter of fact, are just generally untrue. There's no empirical evidence to back up those claims, which is why you resort to anecdotes quite frequently and say things like, oh, well, it's just common sense, right? But it's not technically common sense. It's just your personal opinion.
Completely. It's my personal opinion based on my personal biases of my life experience. Now, when I say these, exactly. And when I say these things, X amount of people agree with me and X amount of people disagree with me. That's fine, and that's the same of nearly any statement in the world.
Okay,
I can say the world is round, and there'll be a percentage of people who disagree.
That's normal.
That's totally and utterly fine. I come on here and talk about my own personal experiences, and my experiences, men are better drivers than women. I'm not saying there's no female drivers. I'm not saying a female can't.
No. You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. There is a truth, and then there is your own personal experiences backed by anecdotes, right? Or your own personal opinion backed by anecdotes from your own personal experiences. Now, your own personal experiences are oftentimes going to be incorrect and not close to the reality. That's why there's an entire field of statistical analysis. That's why we do empirical That's why we rely on empirical evidence when we're making decisions. Why? Because we all carry a bunch of personal biases. And when we analyze situations, we do not have enough scope to grasp the entirety of the situation. We cannot comprehend it with our human brains.
Bro, listen,
which is why when it comes to women driving, it's a funny point.
You want to cut it there for some initial thoughts? I kind of get what they're going back and forth about, which I just pulled up some stats about that too. So, but I'll bring that later after thoughts.
Guy without the shirt has great points. This gentleman,
I like that he's referred to as the guy without the shirt.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
It's shirts versus skins.
Yeah, I don't know his name, so I don't want to disrespect him. Maybe but the guy
Andrew Tate.
So this particular person is like, I'll use this as a reference to like this particular person is like analytics in basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like, basketball is ran off of analytics. So, if this person on the floor for this minute time, they could average this. Is all the scientific equations of how the game could be played, should be played. Maybe it'll play out that way. But it's a little bit more technical, a little bit more difficult, a little bit more realistic than you just to add up some numbers and say that if this guy gets 20 shots, he should make 8, and then this will equate to this many points, and then this will be an average of 82 games, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So this thing that this guy is doing by trying to use statistical numbers, I do the stat game too, but in some cases, stats aren't gonna just play out correctly. Because what this guy is basically...
It's funny you said that, because I just pulled up why they don't... Like, he's right about the stats, but they're not a complete picture.
Yeah, and it won't be a complete picture.
We could bring that up right now.
Right, because there's a difference, right, between anecdotal data sets and, like, empirical data sets. Anecdotal's more, like, I think of, like, also infomercials even. Buy this pill or drink this drink and you're going to lose 10 pounds and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, but where did they gather their data set from? Did they just pick 10 people that were in shape to then promote their product? You know what I mean? So
yeah, and
people need to learn what kind of data they're dealing with.
No, absolutely.
Right.
And what this guy is basically, he's basing... The gentleman without the shirt, I don't know his name, apologize for that. What he's basing things off of is just the raw essence of what it is versus what it could be, what it could flex to be, what it maybe appears to be. Like the same thing like when I was training for the NCLEX and things like that. And like all the instructors is like, read the question for what it is. If it says normal vital signs, stop trying to say, well, maybe it'll go up because they're challenged with this. No, what it says is what it is. And that's what he's basing things off of. And there's people that try to do the rebuttal. Well, what about this? Well, what about that scenario? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you a way that...
it's playing if you don't hear it, Jamaal.
I don't hear it. I always do that to y'all. That's the second time.
Nah, no worries. Welcome to the show, y'all. That's what we do.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Welcome to the show. All right, so look. This is just Google, right? This is from Malman Law. So it's just a general statistic. So the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reports that men cause an average of 6.1 million accidents per year in the U.S. and women cause 4.4 million accidents per year. So that's saying that men get in more accidents, right? Men have more accidents than women. But then you have to, like, how do you analyze that data? What does that mean? Does it mean that men have more accidents than women? Yeah, like, yes, by numbers they do. But then the study also says men do 62% of the driving.
And then women do the remaining.
Right. So males do 62% of the driving, but only cause 58% of the accidents. So women do cause slightly more accidents per capita. So men cause more accidents, women cause less accidents, but men drive
like 12% more.
way more than 20% more than half of the time, and cause less than they drive 62% of the time and only cause 58% of the accidents. So per capita, if you want to average it out, men cause less accidents, right? So yes, you can look at his statistics the way he presented it and say men cause more accidents, period. But then once you analyze the rest of the stuff that goes on in that database.
Well, yeah, and like what I was talking to your wife.
A lot of people don't like per capita arguments either, especially
and like what I was explaining to your wife earlier with that argument. I'm just going off of just what I would probably do. The reason why that number is higher to men because men want their car fixed. You know what I mean? Like they want their car fixed versus, well, I got some here and there's, and I'm not trying to say that women are terrible at driving and stuff like that, but women have men that will fix their car. So they don't have to go that route in some cases, not all. You know what I mean?
That's an anecdotal argument, but just so it's clear, what you're saying. You're saying that women, if a man and a woman gets in an accident, the man files insurance more likely, and the woman gets her.
She's gonna get it fixed.
I'm just saying. I'm just seeing if you're.
Because my thing, like,
getting clear on the argument.
We do something simple. Like we could hey, y'all in the chat comment. If your mirror gets knocked off, what are you gonna do? Men,
ladies, you better
are
get
gonna typically we're gonna go through our insurance because we want the authentic mirror. We don't want a substitute. I want it the same color. I want the blinker indicator. I want the sensor. I don't want no rinky dink. A woman may do this. Well, my dad say he could put it on. Or this guy that works here that could do it, or this guy likes me, he could do it. So she could shortcut it, maybe get the mirror fixed for free. Maybe.
Ooh, Chris, what do you think about this comment from this is Shelby Stewart again. Because men are barbaric, they have no fear, but women are frightened, so they take caution. Sounds logical to me. He said men are more risky drivers, basically.
But I like the word
You like the word barbaric?
I like the word barbaric, but then when I think of the word barbaric, I always add it to animalistic. And then when I go into animalistic, then that means that the mental capacity is not there. That he's just basing something off of just pure adrenaline and there's no concept. I do agree with that, but I just think that stat is the way it is because men want their car fixed. Like it's evident. How many women put on makeup when they drive? That's the like those things that I've seen out of my own eyes. How many women have backed into things and bumped things versus men? See, those are unreportable things. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to paint a picture here to say women are bad drivers and things like that. But when you go into professional driving, then who's there?
Shout out to the semi-truck drivers.
So more stats, not stats necessarily, but who has the edge in certain scenarios. So more men die in car crashes each year. Men have a higher likelihood of engaging in risky driving behavior. That's kind of what Shelby was saying, such as not wearing a seatbelt, driving under the influence of alcohol, or speeding. Men typically drive more miles than women. Severe accidents tend to occur more with men than with women. Females have a higher chance of being injured or killed in crashes that are equally severe, which makes sense, I guess. Though this narrows with age. So I guess the older you get, the closer the gap is. From 1975 to 2019, male crash deaths were more than double female crash deaths.
But see, now we got to put that down. But see, And that could be true. And I'm not going to rebuttal that, but then we need to create another graph of professional driving implemented into that.
And so in 2019, 71% of car fatalities were males. It seems like these numbers are skewed a little bit. We would have to like deep dive into these. As of 2019, males made up 71% of driving deaths in a passenger vehicle, 48% of deaths as a passenger in a passenger vehicle, 96% as a driver in large trucks. Yeah, so we haven't even taken that into account. Like,
what kind of driving?
I mean, I guess we did in some instance because the other stat said men do 62% of the driving. We could assume some of that is work related because I'm sure the large majority of like men, 18-wheeler drivers, certain kind of trucks, garbage men, delivery drivers. I'm sure a large percentage of those are males. So I guess that 96% of driver deaths in a large truck.
And see, this piggybacks.
Males made up 71% of driver deaths in a passenger vehicle, 48% of deaths in a passenger vehicle, as a passenger in a passenger vehicle, 96% of driver deaths in a large truck. So basically all of them in large vehicles. 67% of deaths as a passenger in a large truck. So not only does the driver 96% in the large vehicle, but 67% also as the passenger, and 70% of pedestrian deaths. 80 we get ran over more. That's not funny. 86% of bike deaths, because we ride bikes more, as well as 91% of motorcyclists deaths.
I was gonna say motorcycles, yeah.
All right, so yeah.
But I might, to this comment, I like it. It's true. If we can break down barbaric, and that could be used as like taking chances, taking the risk, certain things, and we're designed that way. To like we don't look at, or maybe we do, and we don't care, and maybe that's where the barbaric mentality comes in, where it's like we know that this is risky, but we don't care. So I might shout out to the comments in the chat. You know what I mean? These comments are fantastic, and I love them. I love all of them and stuff like that. So I appreciate all of that. But with the statistics showing that
chat
that
is usually informed. They really help
that men have to take the challenge, because if these things they won't get done. I won't say they won't get done, but they won't get done in the type of fashion. We talking 96%. That's humongous of driving trucks and professional vehicles to get things, resources and things like that. Like that's such a big responsibility just in itself.
Right.
And unfortunately, shout out to the truck drivers out there.
Yes,
it's a very, very dangerous, very risky, very high risk job, for those to get up and do that on a regular basis. So, shout out to them, because not only they got to protect themselves, but others, as well.
Yeah, we just saw that case with the dude who was driving. I think he was driving an 18-wheeler truck. His brakes went out. Hispanic guy, young too. I think he was 24. Brakes went out. He missed the what is it called? The
median. The freeway median.
No, the ramp where out of control trucks go up. I forget what it's called, but it's like an emergency ramp. It's like a steep uphill ramp that's supposed to stop.
So he missed it.
Yeah, he missed it. Ended up killing, I think, 4 people.
Jesus.
In an intersection, and I think they tried to give him 50 years off top, but then the governor came in and got it lowered. But yeah, we just talked about that case. So yeah,
wow.
So yeah, Hasan has a point when he says men cause most of the accidents, but I think there's a lot of nuance and subtleties and context in those discussions too that don't necessarily make it mean what he's trying to say.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't have no rebuttal.
Notorious collector, you guys will get embarrassed by Hasan for your own good. Stick to talking to your small audience instead. But yeah, I don't think so. Hasan, he talks from his emotions a lot. And so
do I.
That's how he ends up in this discussion with Andrew Tate, sticking with his argument that women cause less accidents. which is true, but he also didn't think to apply what that could mean in a wider scale. He just was like, I'm right.
And
let me dig
and just
in
to
on
add
that.
to that, is because you're off, respectable men don't embarrass respectable men. It's as simple as that.
That too, like
you know what I mean? Like, men come in all shapes and sizes and things like that. But when you are a man and you're a true man, and whatever it is that you feel is the definition of a true man, and you respect yourself first and foremost, family second, and all that other stuff, then why would he try to embarrass us if we follow those guidelines, which I know he does? And I don't even know him personally.
No, I think he's looking at that as a view. I think if we talk to, if we had a conversation with Hasan, like, he could be right or wrong, and maybe the viewers would look at it as one side got embarrassed.
I always encourage the comments, but at the same time, you know, that the door swings both ways. And I'm not here to make enemies or anything like that.
All right, so I understand what you're saying. We'll get back to the video, but to brighten the situation up a little bit. Bridget in the Gap says, I'm going through insurance too. Ain't nobody got time to be driving around 3 weeks without a mirror.
That's right.
So she like, forget your stereotype, Chris. I'm going to insurance.
Get the mirror, babe.
So you're not gonna have a Hispanic homie hook it up?
On a bunch of different things. The truth of life is the truth that you experience as an individual. That is the only truth that we all live within. You live within your truths, I live within my truths, because these are the truths I've experienced as an individual. If certain things happen to you over and over and over and over and over again, but the truth on the internet says it's not true, that doesn't mean that your experiences are any less real. So if you to come here and say the internet says X, especially
your experiences can be real. You could be a statistical anomaly, as a matter of fact. You can be one of those people, but more often than not, I want
to talk to you because I keep letting you talk and you're finishing your point and I'm trying to talk. So
okay, go ahead.
I'm going to. The fact that you're going on the internet, finding some study and saying that this is the truth, especially after the age of COVID and all the fucking truth we were told with that garbage, you want to sit here and say, oh, the internet said X. I'm sure the internet did. I'm talking about my personal experiences, and some people agree with me and some people do not. That is perfectly fine. Don't give a fuck if people agree with me or otherwise. People are listening to me and they're either agreeing with me or
but
not.
you're still wrong, and that's the problem.
I disagree with you.
Do you want to be right, or do you want to keep speaking into a hug box where people agree with you?
What is it?
Well, if you just completely devalue empirical evidence,
I use that same term, but I like to call it a circle jerk. It's like when a group of people that there's certain people that don't like talking to or hanging around people that disagree with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we all know those people. Like, oh, I'm blocking you because we disagree or whatever. So I think he's just saying Andrew Tate's circle is a hug box. I like calling it a circle jerk. Hug box is just as funny to me.
Science is the entirety of the insurance industry that relies on making these sorts of calculations to ensure that these quotes are as profitable as possible, which ends up charging men higher rates than women, as a statistical likelihood that men are more dangerous drivers than women across the board and get into more car accidents across the board. If you're going to look at all of that and say it doesn't matter because that does not correspond to my own personal experiences, then you're silly. You're being silly. You're being a silly person. If everyone thought like you did, right, we would have no scientific achievements on this planet. We would still be living inside of fucking caves. And now, as much as I...
And see, look, this is where I have to come back to my guy. This is where I have to come back to my guy, Notorious Collector. See, Hasan took this one stat that made him right and didn't examine the stat that men do 62% of the driving but only cause 58% of the accidents. So yes, it's true that men have almost 2 million more accidents a year than women, but they drive more than half, way more than half of the time, and cause just above half of the accidents. So per capita, women cause more accidents if you take all of that into relation, right? Right? I'm just saying. I know we have a smaller audience than Hasan. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm just saying.
I love our small audience. So, you know, saying. I wouldn't trade them in for the world. So, you know what I'm saying? So, you know.
Liver King personally.
Yeah, Shelby says Andrew follows nature, but the other guy sounds political. The other guy's definitely political. He's like, he definitely has a he has a bias to be right and for if not women to come out on top of certain arguments, for at least there to be an equal stance for men and women. And I think he takes that stance a lot of the time, and it just doesn't fit. So when you have somebody saying, oh, women are responsible for more accidents, 100% of the time, Hasan's going to be like, no, it's either equal or women cause less, right? He's always going to take that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm like,
there's nothing wrong with it.
He's entitled to his opinion towards it. You know what I mean? Just like we're exercising our opinion. You know what I mean? Like, there's no right or wrong here. You know, we're not trying to taboo women or anything like that. We're just stating just our opinions. So, like, if it was on a test and they would ask me the question, I would say, well, no, this is how I feel. And that would just be my answer.
Hey, so we'll get this video 2 to 5 more minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. Let's see how they finish it off. Hey, Pepper.
I don't think that that would be a good planet to live on. I'm pretty happy for, I don't know, all the medical achievements, all the scientific achievements that we have reached. And at the heart of all of that, all of those accomplishments lies an understanding of arriving at the truth through empirical evidence.
You done?
Yeah.
Cool. In my personal experiences, all of the car crashes I've been involved in, all the times my car was hit, and all the negative experience I've had on the road, women were at fault. That is, now you can sit here and say the insurance claims say that. I never said the insurance claims don't say that. I'm saying that I am not comfortable with women driving because of my personal experience. Those are my personal experiences. You can drag up all the empirical evidence in the world you want to try and drag up. Anyone with a brain knows how that aids the world agendas anyway. I don't want to go too political on a stream that's going to get taken down. So I'm not saying that I can't find a female race car driver. I'm not saying that.
That's not what I'm saying either. I'm not talking about like statistical anomalies. I'm straight up talking about the overwhelming amount of evidence that suggests that women are more careful drivers than men.
That's a very powerful word.
And therefore better drivers than men. Now, you keep resorting back to...
See, there you go. That's an emotional argument. We just looked at these statistics. It's not overwhelming. I think we had 6.1 million accidents caused by men, 4.4 million caused by women. Men do 62% of the driving, only cause 58% of the accidents. What's overwhelming about these numbers?
What's overwhelming is that men are just put in a predicament that they just have to do what they have to do, which is nothing wrong with that. We're
right, and
to deal with that.
Not only that, but we went to like along the numbers of men who are driving for work, and what percentage of accidents are those? 96% of fatalities and accidents involving large trucks are men.
Because if we was to ask 100 women, if it was a weird predicament, who do you trust driving you to a destination? Who would they pick?
They could pick the men.
So
especially over long distances.
So this would make,
like, if me and my wife was like, "Yo, let's drive to San Francisco right now." It's like 5 hours away. At 12 at night.
Not
only is it not a discussion,
take on the task and take on half and stuff like that, but but at the same time, she knows that man is a safety net. So if she gets tired, if something comes up during her time, he's gonna pick it up. And I'm not saying that's making a woman weak or anything like that. That's actually making her very intelligent to say, hey, you know what? I want to prove a point. Let me just go on and let this do this because I trust his judgment. You know what I mean? I trust him.